Summary of the Minority Report by Philip K. Dick. The plot of the Minority Report follows John Anderton, the founder-in-chief of Pre-Crime, a police organization that employs 3 mutants known as precogs to anticipate and prevent future crimes before they happen. Anderton's own system says he will kill someone in the next week, but he thinks he is being set up. Anderton tries to avoid being caught while he looks into what happened. The story starts when Anderton meets his new helper, Witwer. Witwer is a young man who is sure of himself and looks good. This makes Anderton feel uneasy and defensive right away. After talking with Witwer about the pre-crime system, Anderton reads a card that tells him he will kill a man named Leopold Kaplan, who he does not know. Anderton doesn't believe this shocking statement, and he thinks the Senate and Witwer are setting him up so they can get rid of him as police commissioner. Anderton also thinks that his wife, Lisa, who is an executive officer at Pre-Crime, is part of the plan. This is because she is too friendly with Witwer. Anderton decides to leave the world before he is caught, so he goes home to pack. On the way, a man stops him and takes him to see Kaplan. Anderton stands in front of Kaplan, the guy he is meant to kill, and tries to tell him that Witwer and Lisa are trying to frame him. He has no plans to kill Kaplan. Kaplan agrees that this might be true, but he says that he has to turn Anderton over to the cops for his own safety. He then puts Anderton in a car with bodyguards. Not long after they left, though, a bread truck crashed into the car, and a man named Fleming pulled Anderton out of the car. Fleming gives Anderton money, a new name, and a tip that he should look into the Minority Report. He does this by acting like he wants to help Anderton. Anderton checks into a hotel and calls Paige, who works in the precog room at the police station, to ask if he can come in to look at the Minority Report. Paige isn't sure, but she agrees. Later, Anderton goes back to the station and listens to the precog tapes. He finds out that the Majority Report said he would kill Kaplan, but the Minority Report said he wouldn't. Lisa walks in and tells him he needs to leave. She also gives him a ride in a ship on the roof. Lisa tells Anderton on the ship that she thinks he is innocent and that she thinks other people in the prison camp may have been in the same situation. She tries to persuade Anderton that Witwer has good goals and that he should put the good of the pre-crime system above his own fate and turn himself in. Lisa pulls a gun on Anderton to make him go back to the station when he says no. Fleming, who had been hiding on the ship, knocks Lisa's gun out of her hands and starts to choke her. Anderton stops Fleming by knocking him out. From his ID, he learns that Fleming is an Army major who works for the Department of Military Information's Internal Intelligence. Based on this knowledge, Anderton thinks that Fleming must work for Kaplan, that the brake truck crash was a setup, and that Kaplan has been trying to keep Anderton out of police custody. Anderton calls Witwer to try to keep the precog room safe, but he finds out that Kaplan was only in the room to make copies of the reports. When they get back to the station, Anderton tells Witwer about Kaplan's plan to trash the Majority Report and make the pre-crime system useless. After looking for signs in the precog tapes, Anderton looks out the window and sees that the army is having a rally. He thinks that Kaplan is going to read the Minority Report to the crowd, which would make pre-crime look bad and discredit it. Then, Anderton decides that he will kill Kaplan to save pre-crime by proving that the Majority Report is right. He thinks that the army won't stop him from going up to Kaplan because they already know from the Minority Report that Anderton won't kill Kaplan. As the Majority story said, Anderton kills Kaplan at the gathering. In the last scene, Anderton gets ready to leave the Earth with Lisa and go to a village on another world. Before he leaves, he tells Witwer that there were 3 different minority studies in a row, and each one looked into a different part of time. In the first account, he threw away a time path in which he killed Kaplan after finding out about his plan. The second report was a response to the fact that Kaplan would look at the information about the future and decide not to kill Kaplan. In the third report, he wrote about his final choice to kill Kaplan to save pre-crime. 2 of the accounts said that he would kill Kaplan, giving the impression that this was the case for most of the stories. In their last conversation, Anderton tells Witwer to be careful because, As the new police commissioner, he could end up in a similar situation.
About the author. Dick was born in Chicago, but when he was young, he moved with his family to the San Francisco Bay Area. Even though his skill was recognized in the science fiction world, he got the Hugo Award for The Man in the High Castle in 1963. Dick was not well known during his lifetime, and his stories didn't make him much money. In his 30-year career, he wrote quickly so he could make money. He wrote 45 books and 121 short stories. The topics of Dick's stories include identity, paranoia, mental illness, drug use, alternative worlds, surveillance, and tyranny. His figures often question what they see, have trouble figuring out what is real and what isn't, and try to find out about dark plans. Dick's stories were often based on his own life, and in some ways, the themes of his life were similar to those of his stories. The FBI went to see Dick and his second wife, who was a communist, in 1955. During the 1960s, he used amphetamines too much, which kept him awake for long amounts of time so he could write. In 1972, after his fourth of 5 marriages ended, he tried to kill himself but failed. Dick said that in 1973, he had a series of magical or past life dreams. He saw images of geometric patterns and Jesus in ancient Rome. He said that because of these dreams, he was living both his own life now and the life of a Christian named Thomas in the 1st century CE. He used these events to write Valis, 1981, which, like his other later books, was mostly about philosophy and religion. Several of his stories, like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, have been turned into movies and TV shows. We Can Remember It for Your Wholesale, 1966, was made into Total Recall, 1990 and 2012, and The Minority Report, 1956, was made into Minority Report, 2002.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.